When we try to figure out what makes someone truly great at their job, we usually look at the surface. But to understand the true anatomy of a professional competency, we have to look at what's hidden underneath. We're going to use the iceberg model to figure out exactly how that works. By the end of this breakdown, you'll be able to separate a person's visible behavior from their hidden intent. You'll see exactly how that underlying intent dictates what people actually do in the real world, and how you can use that dynamic to accurately evaluate a candidate in an interview. This diagram illustrates how experts like Richard Boyatzis and Lyle Spencer define a competency. They describe it as an underlying characteristic that reliably predicts superior performance in a specific job or situation. The characteristic directly feeds the performance. There is an obvious snag in that definition. Because these traits are, by definition, underlying, you can't easily see them. A hiring manager can't just look across a desk and immediately measure your problem-solving skills or your resilience. Taking a candidate's visible actions at face value tells you almost nothing about what they are actually capable of achieving when the pressure is on. Let's test this with a real-world scenario. Imagine a supervisor sitting down with a subordinate and asking them a rapid-fire series of questions. That physical action, asking questions, is the visible behavior. This diagram shows our core behavior, asking questions. But identical physical behaviors represent different competencies depending entirely on the invisible intent. Let's follow the first branch. The supervisor asks questions because they don't understand the topic, motivated simply to gather facts and learn. Watched through a soundproof window, you'd see the questioning, but wouldn't know the manager was getting the benefit. Now the second branch. The supervisor asks the same questions, but their goal is to figure out what the subordinate knows to help them grow. That pairing of asking questions with the intent to develop someone is exactly the competency we call coaching. Finally, the third branch. The supervisor asks questions to find out what the employee has done, solely so they can dictate every future move. Same physical questions, but this combination of behavior and intent forms the competency of micromanagement. We started with one single physical action, but by applying 3 distinct internal motivations, we ended up with 3 different professional profiles: a learner, a coach, and a micromanager. If an interviewer scores a candidate based solely on what they did, without digging into why they did it, they are operating blind. This dynamic creates a specific challenge during a job interview. If an interviewer fails to identify the hidden intent, they cannot map the candidate's competencies to the requirements of the role. The burden also falls on the candidate. You have to actively display your intent. You must prove the reasoning behind your past actions to convince the company you can deliver superior results in the new role. This iceberg diagram visualizes this division. The visible tip represents behavior, your resume and interview stories. The massive, invisible structure beneath is intent, making up most of the mass. Performance is a chain reaction. Hidden intent drives physical action, which generates measurable results. Because the chain of professional performance begins below the surface, investigating a candidate's invisible intent is the only way to ensure the behaviors they display will lead to the results you actually need.